In this video, we go over your sides yet again to try and help you get the best start to your Fantasy Premier League season. Stay tuned in how to get involved if you want your team on this series. All of that coming up next. What's up, guys, and welcome to this Your Team FPL video where we go over your drafts for the start of the Fantasy Premier League season. If you want to go get involved, please share your teams with me at JNO_FPL on Twitter, and we can rate your teams as we get closer to the Premier League season. And let's get straight into the video. As we start off with Duzzer's side, Duzzer96 on Twitter, and we start off with Ramsdale in goal. Now, that's a different one, to be honest. Anyone going up to 5 million and up seems to either have gone for Edison or Mendy. Ramsdale is away into that Arsenal defence, and if you have belief in that Arsenal defence, which it seems like you do with Tomiyasu there as well, then that's going to be a differential for you if you make that call right. I personally wouldn't be doubling up on Arsenal's defence because I don't have the trust in them that I do in the likes of Liverpool and Man City. However, I'm paying the money for that. And Tomiyasu and Ramsdale come in at much cheaper than, say, Edison and Cancelo or Trent and Robertson. You do have Trent in there as well with Perisic and Chilwell. The Chilwell-Reece James debate will probably go on until the season starts and we actually get some FPL returns from him. And, of course, Perisic has a lot of potential to be a very attacking defender for us in the Fantasy Premier League. So the back four does look good, and Ramsdale is a personal favourite goalkeeper of mine, considering he did play for my club, AFC Wimbledon, back a few years ago. So, good defence. We move on to the midfield, and we have Salah and Luis Diaz. You got the Liverpool double up in midfield. I love Luis Diaz. He's come to the Premier League, looks very impressive, but his FPL returns haven't been quite what I would want when I take out what I've seen from his performances in an actual game. Salah, of course, we all know about, and you've got Bruno Guimaraes as your cheap midfielder, and then Saka in that very important £8 million midfield slot. If you watched my video from yesterday, I've also gone with Saka in that slot as well, so have to agree there. We have Erling Haaland up front. That's one of the things that a lot of people are debating, having free premiums or having the likes of Salah Haaland, Salah Kane, or Salah Son. So you've gone with the Salah Haaland combination, and Solanke's there as well. Now, Solanke could be a decent shout. I personally don't want to go for a promoted striker, but it has worked at the beginning of seasons before. I think we all remember the Pookie party that happened when Norwich first came up to the Premier League, and he just continued to score goal after goal after goal. Then I brought him in a bit too late and didn't really get much success from him. Mitrovic has also had a period where he was quite successful at the beginning of an FPL season, not the last one, the one before that. So it could work out for you, and of course is a cheap striker to partner with Haaland. And then in your bench, you've got Pulisic, Greenwood and Draga with Raya there as well. Now, Raya as a backup goalkeeper, I'm not sure is the best option because you want someone that's nailed on, and of course Jakoska has gone to Brentford as well. Now, let's be fair to you, you did share this team with me on July the 11th, so that's about a week ago. But what I will say is I don't particularly like Pulisic as a bench option because I don't think he's a nailed-on starter at Chelsea, especially with Sterling having joined. And also I think that's a bit too much of your budget to be putting on the bench. I don't know off the top of my head how much Pulisic is. That's how much I've not looked at Pulisic. I mean, at 6 million, he actually isn't too bad price-wise. But I feel like unless you're planning to rotate the likes of Solanke, Pulisic and Bruno, I still don't particularly like Pulisic because I don't, again, think that he's that nailed on as a starter, and you might be putting him on your starting 11 just to find that you're using your bench player, Bruno or Solanke, anyway. But overall, I do like the side. It's that Pulisic on the bench that I'm not too fond of, and I personally wouldn't be going for Solanke, but otherwise, very good side. Next up, we have FPL Mole, that's at Marco V 111, and this side is absolutely amazing. I cannot imagine a much better side. It's also very similar to my last draft. I don't know if you've taken my team or not. I don't know if this is an attempt at a trick, but fantastic team. And I think I pretty much in my draft video explained why I thought it was a good team. So if you want to know what I think of this side, go and watch that video. Quickly moving on to a side that isn't exactly like mine, we are looking at Pan Mukamba's team, which doesn't have Haaland up front, is the main thing that he said in the actual post on Twitter. Instead, he's got Broja and Undav, and to be honest, I don't like that as a front two, purely because I don't know how nailed on Broja is going to be. If he is nailed on, it's not a bad option, but it is at Everton, and I'd like to see him play a bit first. And I don't know how Undav's going to do at Brighton, so I'm not too fond of the front two. But what it does allow is for you to have Salah, Son, Mount, and Foden, and that's what I do like. You've got two £8 million midfielder slots, which means you can easily get in any of the £8 million midfielders in your starting 11. So I really like the midfield. And I like the defence, although Castagna, while I do think there's potential for him to be an absolutely fantastic defender in the Fantasy Premier League, I think for the beginning of the season you can find someone a bit better until we see some form from him. You've got Mendy in goal, which is a pretty safe bet for your goalkeeper, Chelsea's goalkeeper at 5 million. And the bench is decent. Patterson and Andreas Pereira should both hopefully be starters for their respective club. So I do like that team. Apart from that front two, I'm not too keen on. And I say that owning Undav in my current draft as well. And to be honest, it could easily go to Broja. I think 1, if it helps with the overall balance of your side, is okay. But I think 2 is just a little bit too much. Next up, we have FPL Edmund and his starting 11. And we have Sanchez in goal, which is the exact same as me. I've gone with Sanchez just because I feel like he's a safe choice. And the whole flirting with Raya has kind of backfired a little bit with their transfer of Strakosha. So I like Sanchez as goalkeeper, and I also do like Tomiyasu, Alexander-Arnold, Trippier and Perisic. It's still big at the back, but just slightly cheaper. I think Trippier could still be a great option. We know what he can do from set pieces. There's the potential of Perisic being fantastic. Tomiyasu is budget, and you've got the man that everyone needs, Trent, in there. The midfield, Salah and Son, of course, that's what I've got in my midfield currently, so I do like that. Neto and Bruno Guimaraes. I think Bruno Guimaraes and Neto will be both nailed on, hopefully. I think they might not score as much as you potentially could want them to, even though I have had Neto and Bruno in previous drafts as well. But what it does allow you to do is you've got decent back four, you've got Salah and Son, and you've got Jesus and Kane, and you can get to Haaland quite easily. So the balance of this side is pretty good. Your only issue would be if an £8 million midfielder does hit the ground running and seem to be having a fantastic season, you're going to have to do some surgery on your side to get this to work. The bench is a pretty standard bench, so we won't go into too much detail there, but I would suggest that you just need a plan to be able to get the likes of Mount, Saka, Maddison, Mahrez, Foden into your side should you need them. And then finally, we've got FPL_Newt. Thank you so much, Josh, for sending in a side. Been a follower of the channel and a supporter of the channel for ages, so thank you so much for sending your team in. And you have said imagine Patterson is Nico Williams. Now I think Patterson and Nico Williams could be like for like as far as defenders go, so I'm not mad at either one of those. But you've got Raya in goal. Again, we've said plenty about Raya now. That might need to change, but Cancelo, Robertson, Alexander-Arnold and James is to me my perfect back four, so I've got to give you kudos for having that in there. The midfield is different, which is what I like to see because I don't want to keep rating teams and be talking about the same players. Got Neto and Salah, which I have spoken about before, but we have Coutinho, who did at stages last season look like a very promising prospect at Aston Villa for FPL, and Sterling, who's gone to Chelsea, who could be a major player there and their most important goal-scoring option for them. So Sterling could be fantastic. I'm just not taking that risk. But if it pays off for you, could be a great choice there. And then Jesus and Watkins. I think Watkins will always be around the goals at Aston Villa. Just I would like to see a bit more clinicalness from him. And Jesus, I think, personally is a fantastic option, which is why he's in my starting 11. And again, Patterson or Nico Williams with Andreas Pereira. You got your two starting cheap players on the bench. So I think that is a great side overall. I'm just personally not taking the risk of Coutinho or Sterling at the beginning of the season. Anyway, guys, that is it for this video. So again, if you want your teams to feature on this series, do go and send them to me on Twitter at JNO_FPL. And also make sure to hit that like button, follow, and subscribe to the channel as we try and get as much FPL content out for you before the season starts. I've been JNO, this has been FPL Today, and remember, it's all about the game.